So folks, it's only me today. Well, actually in the truck. Jellico is with us. He's in another vehicle. We had to take two cars for what we're getting ready to go do right now. And folks, we're getting ready to go meet another new individual, a guy by the name of Yarnell. This guy has a very, very interesting story. I actually met Yarnell, or began speaking with him on the phone through Darnell. And Darnell is the guy who's now employed both Corso and Jewman. Yarnell is an individual who has served a lot of time in prison. He's been home now for 5 years. And in the time that he's been released, this guy has done some really awesome things. He's actually started a gym and really does a lot of work with the youth in the community and anybody else who wants to come and box. He's got a boxing gym is what he has. Sort of like our homeboy Reggie Barnett Jr., who on June the 22nd, you guys might actually be seeing this video after that. Actually, I know you will be. He's fighting for the belt. So hopefully, predicting the future, I can tell you, special shout out to Reggie for winning the belt in the bare knuckle boxing. It's my hope to be able to bring you guys an update on him just as soon as we possibly can. But Yarnell's story is similar to Jewman's in terms of spending a lot of time in prison and also for the type of charges that he went to prison for. If I can remember correctly, it's something along the lines of robbery. I can't remember exactly how much time this guy did, but I know it's a lot of time. And what this guy is doing now is such a positive thing. To think of an individual who got locked up at a young age for some pretty bad charges and to be out here 5 years separated from that time and doing so well, that's really an amazing thing. And today we're gonna get a chance to meet this guy. We're gonna hear a little bit of his story as well, see what he's got going on. We're on our way to the gym right now. And one other really interesting thing to mention is that this guy, he's actually getting ready to go to the Olympics. I don't know a lot about that particular thing right there, but we're gonna be learning all about that today when meeting Yarnell. And I mean, think about that. Reggie Barnett Jr., from prison to pay-per-view. Yarnell, from prison to the Olympics. We have the opportunity to sit here with Yarnell, and the first thing I want to say is thank you for taking the time to meet with us.
It's an honor.
We're sitting in Yarnell's gym right now, and before I go any further, you just told me this off camera. Nobody even refers to you as Yarnell anymore.
Yes, sir.
They refer to you now as?
Ross Life Blessings. I had my name changed years ago. It's similar to like a spiritual name. And it was given to me by my elders. And I'm grateful to take it on. And but everybody know me as Coach Big Lion.
Coach Big Lion, that's what I refer to you as. It's an honor to get a chance to meet you. We were introduced through a good friend of yours, Darnell. Yes. And this is our first opportunity getting a chance to see your gym and also to hear a little bit of your backstory. And if you would be willing, talk to us a little bit about where you're coming from. You've done time. Talk to us a little bit about the backstory of Coach Big Lion.
Okay, I was born and raised here in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I come up from some of the roughest neighborhoods here in Virginia Beach and the Tidewater region. My upbringing, my mother raised me well. Just another youth experience in the streets, I embraced it unconditionally. It led me to take journeys in my life that I never thought that I would take. When you're not moving right, the Most High here set you down. TDH, NDH, Hanover, Beaumont.
All the youth facilities.
All the youth facilities I experienced. While those of my generation was going to middle school, I was going to TDH and sent upstate. When they graduated to college, I was sent to prison. I graduated to prison. Prison became my institution of higher learning.
And you would actually serve quite a bit of time in prison.
18 and a half years.
Would you be willing to share with us a little bit of what sent you to prison?
Malicious wounding, kidnapping, abduction charges, soliciting to commit murder on detectives here in Virginia Beach. My environment, my education, and my experience really prepared me. I embraced everything that was in my environment, everything that was going on. It led me down a whole different path, a path that the average human being wouldn't experience ever in their lifetime.
You went to prison for some pretty bad stuff. You would end up serving 18 and a half years because of that. And was it in prison where fighting became something that you really enjoyed or something that you did a lot? Talk about that.
Fighting was brought to me as a youth by my Uncle Lewis. I send my respects to him. He taught us at a young age, all of my cousins, all of my siblings, but I'm the one who digested it the most. When I was confined, I ran into different elders, U-Man, Coach Q, Coach Donnie, Herbert Britt. I mean, these guys taught me so many different things because I was in prison wilding. I was stabbing. I was doing the things I wasn't supposed to be doing, which could have led me to spend the rest of my life in prison. But these guys took me and they showed me the skill of boxing. They showed me how to condition. They showed me how to be a thinker. And I converted myself and I used these things. This would sustain me in prison and got me through. As a lot of people, I started training and it was just a blessing. I was blessed. These were my angels. You know, like I said, this became my institution of higher learning. This was my college.
Prison was.
Prison was my college.
You know, one thing that you shared with me during one of the phone calls that we had was that you used to box while in prison and you were undefeated, weren't you?
Yes.
You know, talk to us a little bit about your prison boxing career.
My prison boxing my experience was great. I already had the passion for it. It was already in me from a youth. So just being able to go to prison and say, yo, I can do this and be successful with it, it really caught my attention. So that's what grasped me. I wasn't allowed to train if I didn't have my education, so I had to get my GED before I could even train. So all of that motivated me to become better.
Now, you mentioned you weren't allowed to train until you got your GED. Was that something that the prison implemented, or was that something that the elders that you speak of?
It was something that the elders, they was very strict on education. Like, they would not deal with you if you didn't have your education at all.
If you wouldn't mind, I would like to talk a little deeper about the elders that you mentioned, because people might hear this and not have an understanding of this. You are Rastafarian.
Yes.
And the elders that you speak of are Rastafarian as well.
Rastafarian and from other walks of life. Whenever we came to reason, we never bring our way of life or religion or whatever what way of life they may live. We only was under one umbrella, and that was love. That's it.
You know, you hear people speak about prison and how horrible it can be, and it can most certainly be a horrible experience. But the way that you speak of it is a way that I can imagine not many people would think that prison could be a place where it was an umbrella of love, like you mentioned. So I really appreciate you sharing and shedding light on that. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time right now talking about your past, but I do want to give people the perspective of where you're coming from, because you're separated quite a bit from the 18 and a half years that you served.
Definitely.
You know, talk to us a little bit about how long you've been home and what you've done since being released.
I've been home 5 years now. Prior to me coming home, I had an interview, and they came into prison and interviewed me and put out an article that prisoner could be the next champion to come out of Virginia. 8 days before my release, my daughter was diagnosed with lupus, and I almost lost her. It was something that was affecting her at a high rate, and it switched my way of thinking. It kind of threw me off my path. And me coming home, trying to focus on a job, struggling to get a job, I still maintained, I made the decision before I came home, whether I was gonna be in the streets or I wasn't.
And that decision was?
To leave the streets completely alone, no matter what. No matter if I'm financially struggling, no matter what it is, I will be free. Just remain firm, stick to my principles, and make the right decisions.
And real quick, what age would you go to prison and what age would you be released?
I went to prison while my first incarceration was the juvenile system. And I went in there at the age of 16. And I went through my process, and I was released at the age of 34.
34 years old. And you've been home now for 5 years.
I've been home for 5 years now.
And like you had mentioned to me off camera, but I definitely would like to include this, you haven't had any trouble, no problems with authority or anything like that. You've stuck to your roots and really decided that you were gonna do everything you could to succeed out here.
I came home with all my goals. I wrote down all my weaknesses before I left, and I wrote down all of my strengths, and I balanced them out. And it allowed me to, every time I get discouraged, it allowed me to go back and reflect on the paper. along with everything that I've been through, I have come a long ways mentally, physically, financially, and I'm still pushing forward forever and backwards never. And I'm embracing everything that come my way.
Could you say that one more time? You're still pushing forward forever?
And backwards never.
That's really powerful.
It's a key principle that we say in roster, pushing forward forever and backwards never, which means that we're not focused on what's behind us. We just focus on what's in front of us.
Throughout the 5 years that you've been home, you were able to acquire this storage facility, which is huge, and create this gym that you have. What is the name of this gym? And talk to us a little bit about the creation and the process of you acquiring this.
The name of my gym is Warrior Camp Sports. I actually started Warrior Camp Sports in prison. Guys who come home and the guys that hear about it, they call me. They was like, yo, you the one that went home and stayed firm on your word. Like I used to hold training facilities on the yard. And the guys, they loved it. I brought it home with me and I pushed forward with it. I have people that say like, you need to do this. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. But you have to connect with your purpose. You know, you're gonna have people along the way that say, yo, you can't do this or do that. But you have to keep pushing forward.
You said that people said that you need to do this or do that. Were they discouraging you from continuing with the gym or possibly offering other alternatives to include with what you're doing here?
It was basically saying like, you've done all this time, you don't need to be out here training, you're not making the proper money, you need people to pay you more. But sometimes it's not about the money. When you're moving, the money will come. Like, it's not my focus. I'm connected with my purpose and my passion, something that I love doing. It was a sacrifice to me, because it was times that I had nothing at all, but I can go and train people, and it would just completely make my day, you know? People would donate, and it would kick. And the way that I got my gym is because people respect what I'm doing. Those from my generation, those that I grew up with, they know that I could be doing other things. You know what I mean? So if I say, yo, I'm trying to start a gym, I set everybody down. I say, yo, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I need. And the guys, they helped me the best way they could.
And from there,
I'm pushing forward, and this is what I'm doing.
You know, one thing that you shared with us that I definitely want to elaborate on is all of the equipment that you have in this gym. You've got punching bags, you've got treadmills and workout equipment and all sorts of stuff to train. And you mentioned something to me when we first came in here. You said something along the lines of it's not much, but I don't need much to be able to train an individual.
I don't need much to build a champion.
That's what you said.
I don't need that much space. Everything that you see here in my gym, it was given to me, or I found it along when I was doing my paper route, found it on the side of the road. Most of this stuff was found, you know? Some of it was given, which was a blessing.
And that's a very powerful thing that you mentioned right there. You're doing a newspaper route, and you're finding a lot of this equipment that we're seeing here, just people are throwing this away. And here you are being able to take this and utilize this for so much more than possibly what it was utilized for at
Exactly.
first. You've got young people that you're working with.
Yes.
You've got probably all sorts of individuals who partake in what you're doing, but I really want to talk about the young people. You know, talk to us about the work that you're doing with the youth.
My vision and my goal was to create a place that was never offered to me, to create a place and to stop the youth from dying before their time and going to places I have been. That was my ultimate goal, and still is right now to this day. It's just more opportunities are presenting themselves.
And can we talk about some of those opportunities, like
Yes.
where you're getting ready to travel to tomorrow?
Tomorrow we will be going to Wisconsin for the Junior Olympics. I have a 10-year-old named William Chavez Jr. He's have worked real hard to get to this point, and he's a young champion at the age of 10.
And you're traveling with him, someone who you've trained,
Yes.
who's getting ready to be in the Junior Olympics.
Yes.
Fighting for a medal.
Fighting for a belt.
Fighting for a belt.
Yes.
You know, what does it mean to you to see and be able to experience these type of things after so much, I can imagine, trials and tribulations in your life?
Like I mentioned before, it's never about the money. It's never a money thing. What I'm doing now is connected with my purpose. Like, it feels good because we're not giving back, we're giving forward. me put my energy into the kids, like I test them at times. It's bigger than boxing. I'm teaching them how to bob and weave problems in life. I give forward to them. I challenge them to make better decisions in life, to make the right choices, and to show love and know that we are human beings. And sometimes that we make decisions, but you have to balance everything out.
You know, with everything that you're doing here at the gym, with the youth and with the training, you know, what is your regimen like? Are you still fighting, competing, training yourself?
I'm not fighting. I'm more focused on my daughter and her lupus. Like everything I do is for her. You know what I mean? Like she's my only child. I didn't have a chance to be in her life because I was confined. And she's my everything. You know. Still working on our relationship because she felt like I left. You know what I mean? She was only just a few days, if that. You know what I mean? But it's been going wonderful. You know what I mean? Communication has been great between me and her. These my kids too. You know what I mean? A lot of kids come from off the street. A lot of kids turned in guns, AKs.
You said they turned
in guns, just for me to train them.
Wow. You know, it's an amazing thing what you're doing because the youth are the ones who need to be reached the most because you see it and you know that they could be heading down a path similar to what you've been down, similar to what I've been down, similar to what so many people have been down. So to be able to try to reach them before they get there is an amazing thing, and for them to focus their energy on something positive like they are here, I mean, it really is just an awesome thing that you have going on. Is this your full-time employment?
This is what I do. This is what I do, right? Everything I wake up in the morning, this is what I dedicate myself to, the gym.
And I know that you had mentioned to me that you have members who pay a fee, whatever that fee may be, but there was something more compelling, which was, you know, I asked you how you finance this place. How are you able to keep up with the rent and things like that? And you told me you will go out there and cut grass and do whatever.
Everything. Like, still to this day, like, it's a struggle. We don't know how the gym is going to be open for the next month, you know what I mean? Some kids are not financially blessed than others, you know? And whatever they can put towards a month, I let them put towards. I don't say, oh, you got to do this, or you have to do this, or you have to do this, because this is a safe haven for them. They have a place they could come now instead of hanging in the street. I stay open for them. They come in, play the music. We talk sometime. I stay on them, training. You know what I mean? I don't like what you do it, start over. You know what I mean? I stay on top of them because I don't want to say be hard on them, but I apply the discipline to them that failure is not an option. The mistakes that we make is going to be made in the gym. When you get in the ring, there's no room for mistakes. So when you walk outside of this gym, your decision making still has to be there. There's no room for mistakes when you walk outside of the gym. When you go hang with the guys that's in the street, you have to know that a single journey could change the course of your life. You can end up doing life in prison. You can end up dead. So these choices you have to make once you leave the gym and when you're in this gym. When you in here training, I don't like your jab. You let your jab drop. We're gonna make all the mistakes right here. When you get in the ring, I can't be in the ring with you. I can't fight with you in the ring. Just as if you're out here in the community, I can't be everywhere you go. You have to make that decision. You have to make conscious decisions, and you have to have the faith and trust in yourself that these decisions are the right decisions, because like you said, like what took me 15 minutes to do got me almost life in prison.
You know, the way you speak, the way that you word things, I can just envision the way that you talk with the youth and what that has to mean to them. How often is your gym open, and what is the average attendance while you're open?
I open my gym Monday through Friday. In the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. For his guys over there, I allow them to come get extra work, you know, because conditioning is the best thing. Conditioning the mind, the body. If you're gonna continue on this course, you have to stay conditioned. No matter what you're doing, if you're reading, anything, you have to condition yourself for it. I allow them to come and be here. I'm open from 5 o'clock, 5:30 until 8:30 at night. And they're allowed to come in, and whoever. They can bring their friends, you know. Sometimes they bring their lady friends, they work out. I open the house up. you know.
And how many people do you average on a daily basis that come here?
My fighters are here mostly. Some people I have a lot of drop-ins sometimes. I say average, say about 10 people, 10 people, sometimes more. Sometimes you could come and be almost 30 people in here. Work jump roping, they be out there jump roping. We'll pull all the equipment out, and some days it's just off and on, you know?
You know, one other thing I wanted to mention real quick was you mentioned across the street, and literally across the street where the music's coming from, there's another gym. We met that guy, and he was talking about working with you and how you guys work together to train. And
Exactly.
it's almost, I mean, it's a camaraderie that you build within this community of conditioning and fighting and positivity as well.
They thought that us moving across from Coach Mike, that it was gonna be confrontation. It was gonna be competitive. No, we collective. We're not, that ain't what we're doing, you know what I mean? Like, what kind of example are we showing that no doubt it's a competitive sport, but I bring to Coach Mike that, yo, even though we're two separate gyms, we're one entity. Like, we're one collective unity. Like, let's collaborate, let's combine as one team under one umbrella, and let's just push forward. You know, because we got two styles of training, two different trainings. Like, my training is more old school, but very effective. Very effective and very dangerous. And Mike is more wrestling. He does boxing. But I was going to all of the gyms, man. Like, the guys would call me, and could you come tour my fighter up before his fight? I was going everywhere. And I linked with this other gym. Well, we started together. And I was so anxious about it that they got over on me. The equipment that I had at first, like, they took all my bags. Cause my signature was this. I didn't know.
Your signature was a handshake.
Handshake, that was my signature. Like, okay, let's do it. You know what I mean? Instead of doing it in paperwork in black and white, I didn't do it. And I learned through the experience, like, all the bags that I had collected when I first came home, and stuff I got from the thrift stores and off OfferUp and all that stuff, like, they took it. And for me, able to get it back, I would have to go through the court process all over again. And I didn't want to do it. So I went to them and I say, you know what? I was like, yo, got it. I'm gone, you know?
It's a learning experience with any type of a business venture, and that was an unfortunate lesson that you would have to learn. I don't want to make this too long, but I want to wrap this up on two things. You have a lot of other really amazing things taking place and opportunities that are presenting themselves for you. Would you speak about what you mentioned that could be potentially happening for you at the end of this year?
Potentially for the end of the year or the beginning of 2020, we definitely going to be going to that Mayweather camp.
And talk about that, because people are probably hearing this like, Mayweather camp, what do you mean?
It's scouts always looking. Mayweather, he runs a very disciplined camp. Even when you think people are not watching, they're watching. We had a few scouts, people to come out and check us out and told us to come out. I asked them what would I do out there? They said, what you doing now? It's just a blessing from God, you know. Like, I'm grateful for the opportunity, because I know just 5 years I was just on the yard. I was just in the cell, you know what I mean? And my whole mentality was different. I'm not excluding myself from any other person that had done time. But it was a rare few that didn't sleep on a mattress, didn't sleep on a pillow. You know what I mean? My whole entire time confined, I never slept on a mattress at all.
Just on the steel bunk?
On a steel with a sheet, that's it.
And what was the reasoning for that?
My mentality was, what do I need a mat for? I'm only passing through, I'm not here to stay, I'm not here to get comfortable.
Even for 18 and a half years?
I made my time as rough as possible for me. It was something about the system that rubbed my principles and my morals the wrong way. I knew I didn't belong there, you know? But while I was there, or while I was here, I was gonna give it 100% to, one, make it out. Two, to learn and be receptive to everything and everybody and all the information that was given to me behind prison walls.
You know, Ross, I greatly appreciate your time and your candidness to speak about your past, and especially to learn so much positive stuff that you have going on right now. As we wrap this up, is there anything that you would like to say in closing where people could find information about what you have going on?
You can go to Warrior Camp Sports on Instagram and Facebook. That's Warrior Camp, spelled with a K, Camp spelled with a K. It's one thing that when my fighters come in, I let them be themselves. I don't try to take anything away from them because I know as long as I'm around them, they will change their direction in life. Upon their arrival, I make them assign a contract to themselves, not to me, a contract to themselves, holding themselves up and being responsible for their actions. That they can't smoke, they can't drink. If found that you are smoking or drinking or indulging in any type of negativity or anything dealing with your lower self, you will be terminated from any training that I shall give you.
Ross, I want to thank you for your time. I look forward to being able to follow up with you and the continuation of hearing what you have going on in the future. Good luck with everything at the Olympics. I truly hope that this 10-year-old comes home with the belt for sure.
Oh, we're coming home with it. We train hard, we focus. We're on a spiritual journey. It's a difference.
Well, I look forward to meeting with you again and seeing where we can go in the future.
Let's do it. Warrior Camp Sports. Stay focused. I'd like to give you this.
Man, thank you very much. Look at that.
Warrior Camp. Stay tuned.